everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Reni. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. I appreciate all of you for watching this video. On my channel, I do fashion, finance, and lifestyle content. So today's video has been a very highly requested video, and it's all about which platform someone should use when they start investing. When I do get this question, I usually say, I haven't tried all of them. I've only tried a handful because there's no need for me to try every single brokerage. So this is just my opinion based on what I've experienced on the platforms that I use. And today I will be comparing Wealthsimple and I will compare TD Waterhouse, which is their brokerage arm. I have tried other platforms, but the reason that I chose these two is because one represents a bank and one represents independent companies or independent brokerage. So they are very different from one another compared to if I were to compare TD to another bank or Wealthsimple to Questrade. So if you're not going to watch the end of the video, I totally understand, no big deal. I'm going to give you my overview of the two platforms right now. For TD, I would say this is a good platform to use for primarily US transactions, US securities. I would say it's better than Wealthsimple in that regard. And if you are trading a high volume of securities, so the fees don't really matter to you much. And for Wealthsimple, I would say Wealthsimple is best if you're trading Canadian securities, but I will go in depth on all of these. Throughout this video, I'm going to compare the companies against 7 categories. The categories are the setup, the user experience, the funding, the fees, the ease of transactions, the variety, and the education that is available. So let's begin right now. Let's start off with the setup. So with Wealthsimple, Wealthsimple is something that is available only online. It's not like you can go into a bank or anything. It is an independent company, so there's no physical location. So with Wealthsimple, that means everything is done online. So once you want to set up, you go on wealthsimple.com or whatever the website is, and you start signing up for the account. So this is so I'm talking about the self-directed account, which is Wealthsimple Trade. There's also Wealthsimple Invest, that is another account that is more robo-advisor. But I'm talking about Wealthsimple Trade, and you would just go in, enter all your personal information similar to what you would do for any other account, and then you're good to go. It was honestly a seamless process, like within 10 minutes or so, even less than that, I was set up. And at the moment, you can currently open a general account, a Canadian TFSA, or a Canadian RRSP. With TD, you can also open an account online. However, sometimes they ask you to come into the bank to verify more information. I think with COVID, they may be leaning more towards all online, but when I went in, which was years ago, I actually had to go in person and finalize the application. So that's just one thing to consider. It's not the end of the world, but you may have to go into the branch to open your account fully. You can open a margin account, you can open a Canadian TFSA, a Canadian RSP, a US RSP, or a Canadian RSP. And there's so many account options, like literally every account option you can think of can be opened with TD. Now let's go on to the user experience. When I talk about user experience, I'm really speaking of the interface of the platform. What does it look like? Is it easy to navigate? Is it easy to use? Are things clearly explained? Like, that's what I'm talking about. So let's start off with Wealthsimple. With Wealthsimple, it is very, very easy to use because I think they know that their target market is beginners and people who are like maybe 18 years old who just started investing, like very young people who are just going to start investing and need clear explanation. So the layout is flawless. It is very easy to use. From a design perspective, it's very aesthetically pleasing. There are clear explanations of everything, so it explains where everything is, what everything means, like this is when the market opens, this is when the market closes. Like, there are so many clear explanations on the platform, which is something that I really like about the platform. Also, I really like how they lay out their statements. So if you need statements for your taxes or anything like that, the statements are very clearly laid out through Wealthsimple's platform, and it's easy to just download them. And I also like how they organize each stock by category. So they organize every stock that you want to buy. They're organized by different categories, and it really explains things down and breaks it down easily, and I just really like the user experience of it, and I wish more banks would update their platforms to look like Wealthsimple. We also have TD, and of all the banks that I have tried, I would say TD is one of the best ones because it has a great interface and is very user friendly as well. Wealthsimple's is definitely more modern, but by no means is TD is outdated or anything. It is very user-friendly and easy to use. So I would say in this category, they're pretty equal. Next, let's go into funding the account. So I think this is a big point of differentiation. With funding in the account, Wealthsimple takes 3 business day, up to 3 business days to fund your account. That is a pretty long time if you're trading on a regular basis. So, you know, that's an issue. So what that means is if I want to send $1,000 from my bank account to Wealthsimple, it will take 3 business days to get there. So if you are going to use Wealthsimple, you just need to know that you need to keep money in there on a regular basis, just in case you really want to buy something on a certain day. It doesn't, so that you don't have to wait the 3 days. Wealthsimple actually just did update their platform, and now they have an option, or now they have increased it so that you get $250 immediately. So if I wanted to transfer over $1,000, $250 would come over immediately, and then the other $750 would take the 3 business days to come over, which is better than before, but you know, it's still not great. And lastly, they also have a premium feature that they just issued. So for $3 a month, you are able to instantly transfer over $1,000 from your bank account to this account. Then if I compare this to TD, because TD is connected to your bank, or your TD Waterhouse account is connected to your TD account, it is instant for those transactions to happen, or those transfers to happen. So if I have money in my checking account or my savings account and I want to move it to my TFSA, my RSP, my whatever account I want to move it to, it instantly moves from one account to the other because they are within the same organization. So that's pretty cool. The only thing is, if you want to move your money into a US account, you cannot do that. You have to first put it in your Canadian TFSA or RSP and then convert from that to US dollars. And that is another thing I should mention about this. So with with Wealthsimple, you cannot open a US account. You can only open a Canadian account, so you can't have any US dollars in your account. Whereas with TD, you can have US accounts and you can fund your account in you can transfer your money from Canadian dollars to US dollars and hold it in US dollars. So this is good because if the exchange rate was really good one day and I wanted to change my money from Canadian to US, I can do that and hold it in US dollars until I'm ready to buy a stock in TD. Whereas with Wealthsimple, you cannot do this. Okay, so let's talk about fees. And when I talk about fees, I'm really talking about the trading fees, the annual fees, and then the commission. Let's start off with Wealthsimple. With Wealthsimple, they pride themselves on being a free account, trade free, no fees around, like the free account basically that is available. But with the other one, TD, they're not a free account. They definitely do not care to be a free account. There are fees that are associated. I wanted to buy a Canadian stock with Wealthsimple, I would be able to buy it for free, no trading fees at all. So say I'm buying $100 worth of stock, all I have to pay is that $100 fee. If I'm gonna buy a $100 Canadian stock with TD Bank, I would have to pay $100 plus that $9.99 transaction fee that they charge per trade. So that gets a little bit expensive over a while. Since it costs $9.99 per transaction, if you're buying a small amount of stocks, it may not make sense for you. It may make sense to use Wealthsimple in this situation because it is 100% free. Where it differentiates is where we go to US dollars. So with US dollars, there actually is a fee that is charged, and this is the foreign exchange rate fee. Or the currency conversion rate fee. So if I were, again, to buy $100 of a US stock in Wealthsimple, I would pay $100 and then they would change it to to US dollars. So say $100 is it's a 1 to 1.3 ratio. With this 1.5% conversion fee, the foreign exchange rate would become 1.3195, which means I would pay $131.95 for this US stock. And yeah, so my commission on that would be $1.95. And if I were to buy the same stock in TD, I would not have to pay for this $1.95 fee. It would just be the fee to change your money from Canadian to US. So that's the main difference. But with TD, you still have to pay that $9.99 fee. So honestly, Wealthsimple may be cheaper, but it really depends on what the exchange rate is at the time. However, just do your research and see which one works better for you. And one thing I will mention with TD is if you become an active trader, trade 150 times per quarter, then you can get your commission fee reduced from $9.99 to $7 per trade. So like, it's not a great rate, but at least it's better. And this applies to everyone in your household. So if you live in a house with 4 people and you all your transactions together make 150 trades per quarter, then the fee decreases. It doesn't have to be just you who gets this, who trades 150 times a quarter. If you were doing really small scale transactions, it may not make sense to use TD simply because that $9.99 can really eat your profit. TD, however, does not charge any commissions for mutual funds, unless there's a short-term redemption fee that comes into play. They also don't charge fees for fixed income, so bonds, GICs, strip coupons, T-bills. They don't charge anything for that. The commission is actually built into the price that they're quoting you. And they also don't charge commissions on IPOs and new issues. And then there's one more fee. So it seems like TD has a lot of fees, but there's one more fee with TD, and that is the quarterly maintenance fee. So they charge you a fee to just maintain your account and have your account. And this is $25 per quarter. So it's $100 a year to have an account with TD. So that means even if you do not trade, you're paying $100 to have that TD account. But one good thing about TD is they have 3 ways in which you can get out of these fees. So if you set up a pre-authorized deposit where $100 coming into your account every month, then they will waive that fee. Or if you make 3 trades a quarter, they will also waive that fee. Or if you are in the first 6 months of opening your account, they will also waive that fee. So there are certain ways to waive the fee, but you know, that is expensive. $25 per quarter is pretty expensive. Now let's go on to making the actual trade. You can watch my video all about how to make a trade on TD, and I will also make a video on how to make a trade on Wealthsimple. But with Wealthsimple, very easy to use, and I like that they give you a lot of warnings. They're like, if you buy this stock right now, there is a possibility that it will go down. Like, they're very adamant on like educating people that like this is not a joke. Your investment can go up or it can go down. This is not just play money. This is your real money that could go up or down. So I really like that about Wealthsimple. But one thing about Wealthsimple is that it is 15 minutes behind the market. So if the price is showing on TD as $100, because that's the price right now, it could be showing at $102 on Wealthsimple because it's moved within the past 15 minutes. So that is a problem if you are a day trader and you're trading like a lot. That could be a problem for you. But the one thing you can do is actually just go on another platform and look at what the price is. Like go on Yahoo or Google Finance and see what the price is at this moment. So it's not a huge deal, but that is one con of Wealthsimple. When it comes to making a trade with TD, TD is also very simple and easy to use. As I said earlier, the UX is great, so it is very easy to make a trade. Next, we're going to go into the asset varieties. So what assets are actually available to trade on Wealthsimple? So with Wealthsimple, this is where there are a few limitations that I will mention now. So with Wealthsimple, at the moment you can only trade ETFs and stocks on the platform. So all of the other types of securities that there are, you cannot trade on Wealthsimple. Another thing is there are certain stocks even that are not traded on Wealthsimple. Wealthsimple has a lot of specific rules about what can be traded on their platform, but they're always adding new ones, so I don't think it's a huge problem. They only trade stocks and ETFs that are trading on certain stock exchanges. So there are 7 different stock exchanges, and I'll leave them on the screen, but there are 7 different stock exchanges which they currently trade on. So if your stock or ETF is not trading on one of those stock exchanges, you can't buy it on Wealthsimple. They also don't typically list IPOs, so new issues. They don't list those, and also there has to be a certain volume amount that the stock is traded in order to actually list it on the platform. They do have this great feedback form where you can actually give your feedback and say, I want this stock to be on Wealthsimple, and maybe they will add it. With TD, you can really purchase anything. You can purchase precious metals, you can purchase ETFs, bonds, GICs, T-bills, stocks, like literally like anything. Pretty much mutual funds, you can pretty much purchase anything on this platform. Then I'll go into education. So with education, I would say the education on Wealthsimple is pretty like non-existent, except for all the warnings that they give you. So there's no like research component on that will say, okay, these analysts have decided that this stock is a buy or a hold or a sell. Like they don't really have that on the platform. I'm sure they will be expanding soon, and they do have a lot of thought leadership on their social media platforms that can tell you about different stocks, but like on the actual platform itself, I didn't see much research that was on there. And then with TD, I would say TD is like top tier with their research. If you want to know what analysts are thinking about the stocks that you want to buy, TD is the place for you. They have very in-depth analytics and analyst reports and like the charts, everything that you want you can really find. And they have a great newsletter as well that comes out on a regular basis that can tell you, it just gives you tips and educates you. So I would say with their self-directed platform, the education is on point. Overall, I would say that both platforms have their pros and cons, but you have to look at which one works best for you. I'm not going to say which one is best. Like obviously I said for US securities, TD may be best. For Canadian Wealthsimple may be best, but honestly, it really depends on your situation and like what works best for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, what platform are you using? Wealthsimple, TD, BMO, Questrade, what are you currently using? I really want to know what the majority of people are using. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!